I've seen him play good for us, but not that good. He looked like he looked like Utah Darren Williams out there for a little bit. I mean, he only had 12 points. Let me not over exaggerate. He had I see it's the light skinnedness. Like I think that's what's doing it. Yeah, Mike James, 7 rebounds, 12 points, and he played a lot more than I thought too. So maybe I'm a little bit over exaggerating on the Mike James. But he looked really good, and he hit some big shots, big like killing, like soul crushing shots for the Bucks. Um,
Oh,
I like him regardless. Props to Mike James, great game guy, big guy. Oh, and last player we're doing today. Um, I'm sorry, I'm not going to talk about Joe Harris today. I'm not going to
yeah.
talk about Landry Shamet today. I'm not going to talk about any of those people, but we have to talk about Nicholas Claxton's defense.
Yep. He was,
It's
dude. He was big time, especially in that Celtics series. He had some games where you're like, oh, like is this guy like almost too raw? And then today, sorry, today, last night, he was big time, man. He really was like a jolt.
Yo, did you see the steal he had on Giannis?
Yeah,
He took Giannis's cookies. Like Giannis was surprised and had to look like, who is this dude? Because it wasn't like it was a little guard who reached in and poked the ball out and got on a break. This kid is 6'11". He is, when you see, it's comical in real life to see him and Giannis stand next to each other.
yeah,
They look like the before and after photo. This is
yeah.
me.
Oh,
This is me before I went to jail. This is me after I came home. This that dude, man, Giannis is a unit, and there's a lot of lifting weights in Nick Claxton's future, but that dude balled out. Talk to me about him, and we could just get to the games coming up. But yeah, I need you to say something nice about say something nice about my guy Nicholas Claxton.
I mean, look, he was. I mean, I was. I totally got to admit there were games in that Celtics series where I was like, he just
Oh, he
looks
looked
like
bad.
the jitters, whatever. And then
Yeah,
like he had just a couple of plays yesterday where you're like, dude, like this is a guy who sees the game from a defensive lens, at least at this
yeah.
point. He'll obviously become better on offense, but like he
His
sees
offensive
defense
game
like
is
a vet.
so nowhere. And I got to watch the coaching staff on the sideline just trying to coach him, trying to tell him like, you know, go directly to the point, get up above the rim. Um, he just gets caught in like no man's land with the ball, and he doesn't have a good enough layup package.
Right.
I think when he was at Georgia, they must have just let him shoot a lot because his layup package should be a whole lot better for a close to 7 footer. I'd have him do Mikan drills the entire summer and lift weights and eat ribeyes. Um, yeah, the kid is great. The kid is fabulous. But I'm gonna move us along, and so we can close out and let the people enjoy the rest of their drives home or ways to work. Hope everybody's rocking with us. Whether it be this evening when we drop this thing or on Monday morning. We purposely wanted to be a part of that because we know that the local sports radio is going to be garbage, and we'll talk more about that later,
For
dude.
sure.
So game two. If we're honest with ourselves, we know and should expect that what we saw was a complete and total aberration. It was a good team that's rusty. We're not getting back Harden. The news on Harden is it's tightness in the hamstring. I think it's worse than that. Um, I I would play it safe. I want to win a championship. I would play it safe, and I wouldn't even. I They would have to figure out unless it's like getting dire. I would try to keep Harden out for as long as I possibly can because he's that important. Uh, Give me your take on what's going to be different in game two.
So, all right. So this is my big takeaway, and it was the second I left the game, I was like, I came out of that game, and let me preface by saying that I have a couple of friends from college who are from Milwaukee, and they're big Bucks fans, and they're actually like great loyal fans. They're not obnoxious, they're not like the guys over at Madison Square Garden who are brutal. Like I was texting with them, and I was like, I got to tell you guys. I think Budenholzer's coaching performance in game one was one of the worst coaching performances like I have ever seen in my life. Like it was, I thought like to the point where like I really wanted to give like Nash a lot of credit and the Nets a lot. And look, the Nets, as we've said in this whole podcast, deserve a lot of credit. And this is like my longer little monologue or whatever. But like he did a couple of things. Like first of all, like the minutes for his starters like were insane. The fact that he like played Giannis like 34, 35 minutes, all those starters in the mid 30s. He played the starters together. I think it said like 12 minutes in the entire game or 14 minutes in the entire game. I didn't understand at all like having Giannis in like letting him take those long twos and him not playing as like a point forward. Like obviously you can't blame Coach Bud for the fact that Middleton didn't shoot well, and that's like the one place where the Nets really got lucky from a shooting perspective.
I
But
think they
like
defended well too. I think that's the one thing that switching makes it where um it's hard for you to get your feet set on the
right,
perimeter. So
but no, that's I think so. I think that's totally true. But so like my big takeaway, and it's not really a prediction because as you kind of already said, like it's so hard to make a prediction off of a game one, especially when you have like a humongous event that happens in the first 40 seconds, like the Harden injury. But I just like I think depending on how game two goes, actually says a lot about Coach Bud and like the entire Bucks moving forward because I mean, there's clearly things that they could do differently going into the next game. But like if the Nets win or even if it's close and the Nets lose, to me that says like way more about the Bucks than it does about the Nets because like I don't know, man. I just thought there was stuff. I thought there were things that the Bucks could have done, like using Brook in different ways and
mm,
getting. I mean, they didn't. I mean, like Forbes was
they
unbelievable in the Miami series, shooting threes. He did like nothing. He got like he made one garbage time three yesterday. Like
Yeah,
I
they did
just
one thing with Brook that I haven't seen them do much all year is, and Brook dunked on Durant a couple of times, which is like I always say, I don't like Durant at center and at four and five, but nonetheless he played there and he was game. If he wasn't very good at all time defending it, but they put Blake in the dunker spot and he did dunk on people. I did you notice that?
yeah, no, I definitely noticed that. But like, so let me ask you: do you think am I being too negative towards the Nets by dissing the Bucks coaching staff so much, or do you think it was just like kind of a hodgepodge of different crap going on and nothing was really settled and it just led to what happened yesterday happening? Because that's why I'm finding tomorrow's game to be like so hard to judge because I just
It's
like look
it's
and the Nets
tough.
also passed way better yesterday than they did in any game in the Celtics series. Like they were moving the ball beautifully yesterday.
Right. And my saying is style makes fights. And
Yep.
and it's not even that it's not even the personnel that the Bucks have because they have a personnel advantage. It's the way a Holzer offense works. It's perimeter based. It kind of the mechanics of it all kind of begins on the perimeter. And because the Nets switch the way that they do, I think that's almost the dependable part of the matchup that they'll play good defense on the perimeter. Now, they missed a lot of opportunity to punish the Nets in down low. We still
Yep.
don't have Jeff Green. I wouldn't be surprised if we lose this game. This game is really up in the air in my mind. Like I if I had to make a prediction if I was betting money on this game, which I'm not, uh,
Yep.
I would bet the Bucks. To be honest, not to win the series. I would bet the Bucks to scare the shit out of the Nets, get them to a game three with a game three where they beat um Milwaukee, and I wouldn't even be surprised if they beat Milwaukee twice as long as they get Jeff Green back. When they go to Milwaukee, tomorrow, if they win, it's also telling. Like, I agree with you. Like, Nash did a better job coaching against them, and that's because Budenholzer runs an offshoot offense of what Mike D'Antoni runs. So what they see in practice is basically they're almost mirror images of each other in terms of how they deploy offense. And so it's easier for the Nets. The Nets are built to stop that. And it's something that I didn't even realize until I watched it. They're good at protecting the perimeter. And so now it's like for the Bucks, what we're gonna find out is are they gonna adjust to that? And we'll see. Do you give them? Do you give? I mean, I think your critique of Budenholzer is right, but if he's as good as they say he is, he'll adjust, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I like. That's what I wonder. Like the vibe, because towards the end of the game, I mean, I was looking at the Nets bench because I mean the Bucks bench because I had a good view of it from where I was sitting, and they seemed like confident. Like they didn't look like they were a team that was like totally distraught about losing a game.
Giannis did.
Yeah.
Giannis looked like he took it to heart.
Yeah, but the other guys like Brooke and PJ Tucker and all them, they were kind of like, all right, like we lost the first game, like whatever. But and that was just like kind of a body language thing. But like I don't know. I mean, look, Coach Bud's got his coaching demons. Like like he has lost series that he's been supposed to win. Like they got. I mean, dude, like thinking back to it, they got embarrassed to the Heat last year, and like they were a more talented squad than that Heat team. Even though the Heat team obviously ended up going to the finals, like it was still a bad loss, and they've had a bunch of and he had bad series losses when he was in Atlanta. Like he's
I think
you know
I think there's when Giannis turns 28, he'll 20 once he gets into that. How old is he? Like what, 26, 27
yeah
right now? Once he gets into that 28, 29, 30, he'll ease into being the best player and figuring out what to do. Like I saw him yesterday as being very emotional. I saw him. He wants it, man, and you gotta love him for that. You gotta love
yeah
Giannis
he's great.
Antetokounmpo for being the competitor and wanting to win. But wanting something so badly, sometimes you become a nervous wreck. Wanting something so badly, sometimes you lose composure. And he's still a very, very young kid. Uh, I like I said, I think something. This next game is going to tell us a lot about the series. If they if they want to have any shot of beating us, they have to win this game. If they don't win, this series is over. Can you
So
agree
it's
with that?
yeah, so
Is
it's
that
actually really
crazy?
no. It's funny you say that because actually I was with one of my friends today who's a Bucks fan, and he asked me, he was like, "Do you think tomorrow is a must win for the Bucks?" And I in the moment said no, but I mean you've honestly kind of convinced me, and I guess I've also convinced myself. Like it would just be because of like the obvious adjustments that they need to make, and the fact that the Nets, like if you're a Bucks fan, right, like just speaking from like a local sports talk radio perspective, if you're a Bucks fan, you're saying to yourself like, all right, it was like the first game after a long layoff. Middleton shot like crap. Like Holiday could have shot better. They got great games out of Mike James and Blake Griffin. Like that shit's not going to happen again. Like the Harden, we prepared for Harden to play, he didn't play, whatever. Like there's a lot of different things you could say.
Mm-hmm.
If they lose tomorrow, and I know that they could then say like, well, all right, well now we go back home, whatever. But it's kind of like, I mean, like, dude, like, I mean, now like the Nets are without like arguably the most important player on the team. Like it's
Yeah.
like you got like and as we saw with the Dallas and Clippers series, like it's not like home court. It's not like home court's the most important thing in the world anyway.
No. No. I think the Nets have a very strong advantage. You could tell by the games. Like they weren't into those regular season games. I thought the Bucks gave the most effort in those games anyway.